Hello everyone, are you there? Am I audible and visible? Good afternoon, Niharika. I hope everyone is safe and healthy. Everyone is safe and healthy. Ah, okay, so good afternoon, Tanu. How are you doing? Again, I'll start today's class with the same instructions that if you have any doubts, you can send it on the ID of Astik. Good afternoon, Tarun. The ID of Astik, and keep your mobile cameras off, because if you keep them on, you might face a problem in the network because of data. You can also send your messages to everyone. If you send it to everyone, then probably we would be able to see all of us. Okay, what was the last thing that we did in the last class? I think we were discussing a question, right? I gave you a homework, and none of you did it except for Niharika, I think. I'll just check. I think only Niharika did it. An aeroplane flying at an altitude of 4.5 kilometers at 10 meters per second drops supplies when and where it falls. Do you remember the question? I just saw it from the chat in the Telegram group. Do you remember the question, everyone? An aeroplane. So can you solve it now? An aeroplane flying at 4.5 kilometers drops supplies. Flying at 4.5 kilometers with a velocity, how much the velocity is given? Let me see how much the velocity is given. 10 meters per second. Drop supplies. When and where the supply falls, that was the question. When and where the supply falls, what, that was the question. So can I have your answers now? An aeroplane flying at 4.5 kilometers, 30 seconds and 300 meters. Niharika, I already have your answer. It was very nicely done. I'm hoping that other students also follow your lead. Abhiram has come up with an answer, 30 seconds. Yes, that is the correct answer, Abhiram. What about the others? Srilata, Tarun, Tanu, Niharika, Irfan, Akshay, Nayan, are you all there in the class? Can I have some answers from you as well? Can I have some answers from you? Everyone, Vashant has also joined. How will I get the value of time? How much time does it take? 30 seconds, Tarun. Well done. So how did we do it, Tarun? Okay, I will allow someone to speak. I'll allow you to unmute yourself. All allow participant to unmute. Okay, now who will tell me on chat by speaking how to do it? Who will tell me the answer? Raise hands. How to do it? Who will tell me? Niharika has raised hand. Niharika, unmute yourself. Tell me how to do it.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Sir, I just used the formula and I have done it.
Which formula you have used, Tanu? Niharika.
Sir, for time, it was the under square root of 2h by g.
Under root 2h by g. So you put the values 2 into 4,500, which is 4.5 kilometers. I converted this into meters. Remember, SI unit is meters. We cannot deal with kilometers. We have to deal with meters. Value of G is 10 meter per second square. So put the values. When you put the values, what is the answer that you get? I think we get time as
30 seconds, sir.
well done, Yarika. Okay, Tanu also raised hand, so I'll give Tanu a chance as well. Tanu, are you there? Can you tell me how to do the next part of the question? Tanu, you raised hand. Can you tell me how to do the next part of this question? How to find out the value of range? Can you unmute yourself and tell me the answer? Tanu, waiting for you. Okay, I don't think Tanu can speak. Maybe problem with her mic. Anyone else will tell me how to do the next part? Find out the range. Tarun, can you speak up and tell me how to get the answer? You can unmute yourself. Tanu has given me the formula R is equal to UT. Great, Tanu. I think she cannot maybe use the speaker phone. Anyways, so how to get the value of range? Multiply U by the time of flight. How much is U? U is 10 meter per second. Multiply it by 300 seconds. And I am there with the range, which is 3000 meters or 3 kilometers. And this is how I get this answer, right? Sanjay, great. Is it 30 seconds? Oh, it's 30 seconds. I will write it in 300 seconds. Oh, big mistake, big mistake. Yes, it is 30 seconds. So it should be 30. And the answer was B 300 meters. Sorry, my mistake. My mistake. Genuine mistake. I did not do it knowingly. I did it unknowingly. Anyways, that was the question. Can I have some raised hand that we have understood the use of these particular formulae? How I've used them for time of flight and maximum range. Remember, beta, that is what I was discussing in today's class in the JE batch as well. Remember, all these formulae are very good, very good. For NEET, they are really very good because I'm 100% sure, more than 100%, I am 500% sure that if you get a question in horizontal projectile, it would be a simple question based on a formula. It would be a simple question. Even this question that you are doing right now, I think, I know that it is much above the standard of NEET. It is higher than the standard of NEET. It is higher than the standard. The question in NEET are very, very simple. Very, 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 very simple. Even this question is way above the standard. But I've given you this formula. Use this formula. But remember, this formula is only valid and you will not get any other case. This formula is only valid when something is thrown from a height horizontally like this. It is only valid in this case. You get to the top of a tower and throw the ball horizontally. This formula is valid. You get to the top of a hill and throw a stone horizontally. This formula is valid. A plane is flying above your heads and it drops a bomb, it drops supplies, it drops a jeep, it drops a human being. This formula is valid. But, and you will not come across these cases in NEET, but I must tell you, if I throw a ball like this, if I call this as case number 1 and I call this as case number 2, in case number 2, you will never come across this case in NEET. It is way above your standards. But just for say example, I tell you this case number 2. Is this formula valid for case number 2? I'm asking you this question. This time of flight, root over 2h by g, is it valid for case number 2? Yes or no? Yes or no? Is it valid for case number 2? Yes or no? Can I have some answers? If I throw the stone like this at an angle from the top of the tower, time is root over 2h by g, or r is equal to u into t. Are these formulae valid now? Yes, Niharika, they are not valid because now the case has changed, and this is not the simple case of a horizontal projectile. These formulas are not valid. Am I clear? Do I have some raised hand that we understand this, sir? Raise hands gives me more confidence. Vaishnavi, Tarun, Tanu, Irfan, Vashant, Abhiram, Srilata, Vaishnavi, Nayan. Okay. If I throw the stone like this, case number 3, is the formula valid? Case number 3, is the formula valid? Is the formula valid? No, this formula is not valid. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point? This formula is not valid for case number 3 because I am throwing it at an angle. Now, a trick question. And these are the type of questions you will get in NEET. That's why I'm discussing this question in great detail. These are the type of question that you get in NEET. So please, all of you, eyes on the board, eyes on the board. Case number 4, I drop the stone from the point. I simply drop it like this. I simply drop it like this from here. Case number 4, I drop it from this point. I drop it from this point and I ask you a question. I ask you a question. What is the time of flight in case number 4? What is the time of flight in case number 4? How much, after how much time it falls on ground in case number 4? Can you give me the answer now? This is how you apply what you have learned in the class. You apply it to questions that will come in your exam. In case number 4, I dropped it like this. I did not throw it like this. I dropped it like this. What is the time and the range? Range is definitely 0. Yes or no? Yes or no? Range is 0 or not? Because it will just fall like this. Tuck, 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 tuck. It will just fall at this point. So range is 0. What about the time of flight? And the answer is, in case number 4 also, the time of flight is root over 2h by g. Are you getting my point? In case number 4, when you drop something like this, the time is again root over 2h by g, because case number 4 and case number 1, listen to me very carefully. Case number 4 and case number 1 are similar in one respect. Case number 4 and case number 1, case number 4 and case number 1 are similar in one respect. And that respect is, in this case, there is no horizontal velocity. There is no vertical velocity. In case number 1, the velocity is horizontal. There is no vertical component. In case number 4 also, there is no horizontal velocity as well as there is no vertical velocity. So, in this case, since the horizontal velocity is 0, the range also becomes 0 and the time of flight remains same. And that is how questions are asked in your NEET exam or in your mains exam. The question will be like this. A ball is thrown in 4 different ways. Number 1, thrown horizontally with some velocity. Number 2, at an angle above. Number 3, at an angle below. Number 4, dropped from the height. In which 2 cases is the time of flight same? What are the 2 cases in which the time of flight is same? So the answer is, in which 2 cases is the time of flight same? Case number 1, case number 2, case number 3, case number 4. What are the two cases in which the time of flight is same? And the answer is time of flight is same in case number 1 and case number 4. Are we getting this point, everyone? Time of flight is same in case number 1 and case number 4. Because in both cases, the vertical velocity is 0. And therefore, the time of flight is same. And this is how questions are asked. This is how questions are asked in your NEET exam. As I told you, beta, no question would be asked straight away. Very rarely you get questions, straight questions. What is the time of flight? No, they will make a diagram. They will put some values there. And then they will ask you a question in a different way. Am I clear? Am I clear? So we are discussing the type of questions since we are done with this chapter. Chapter number 1, chapter number 2, we are done with. And we'll be now moving on to relative velocity. But before moving on to relative velocity, we must discuss the type of question that you will see in the examination hall. And then you must remember, we have done this question. We know the concept behind this question. We know the basic idea behind this question. And we should be able to solve it when it really comes into your exam. And that day, you remember, Acha sir had discussed that question. Same question has come. Do we understand this? Can I have raised hand that we understand this, sir? What we are discussing here? What we are discussing here? The type of questions, even after doing everything, these are the type of questions that will come. Don't get bowled out with these questions. These are simple questions which require simple understanding. Am I clear? Raise hand will give me more faith, more confidence that we understand this, sir. Only 2 people have raised hands. Must ask the others. Okay, the number has suddenly gone up. Good one. Again, one more question that I'm going to ask. One more question again. NEET question. Question that came in NEET 2017 or 18, I guess. Similar question. Similar type question. I'm throwing a ball from this tower. I'm throwing a ball from this tower. I will throw it in different ways. In first way, I've thrown it with a velocity u like this. In second case, I have thrown it with a velocity u like this. In third case, I have thrown it with a velocity u like this. And in fourth case, I have thrown it with a velocity u like this. So this is case number 4. This is case number 3. You don't have to solve the question. You just have to apply logic. This is case number 2. And this, gentleman, is case number 1. Now, the first question. Now see, the question that comes in the actual NEET may be different to what I asked, but I'll try to ask all the possible questions that can be asked in this type of a question. And I can also use case number 5. Case number 5 is I drop it from here. So this is case number 5. The ball is dropped from here, case number 5. Okay. Now I ask the question. In which case, is there any case in which the time of flight is same? Are there any cases in which time of flight is same? Case number 1, thrown like this. Case number 2, thrown like this. Same velocity, same speed, different angles. So velocity is different. First case like this, second case like this, third case like this, fourth case like this, fifth case I drop it. Are there any cases in which the velocity, no, the time of flight, the time it takes to come to ground is same? Waiting for your answers. What is your answer for this one? In which case, if there is any case, the time of flight is same. Case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different cases. In which case, the time of flight going to be same? Anyone with an answer? Abhiram, do you know the answer? You have raised hand. Do you know the answer? Anyone knows the answer? Anyone knows the answer? Can raise your hands. In which case do you think the time of flight is going to be same? Anyone who knows the answer, please raise hands. Abhiram says 2. What is 2? In case number 2, what is there in case number 2? Are there any cases which have same time of flight? Case number 2 and case number 5. Niharika, you can unmute yourself and tell me the logic behind it. What is the logic? Niharika. Unmute yourself. Beta, I have allowed you to unmute. And tell me the logic. Why did you give the answer as 2 and 5? What is the logic, Niharika? Can you tell me the logic by unmuting yourself? Niharika is not sure. Anyone who can tell me the logic? The correct answer is 2 and 5. Case number 2 and case number 5. The time it takes to come down will be same. Can anyone give me the reason? Niharika, Tanu, Tarun, Abhiram, Vashant, Vaishnavi, Srilata. Can anyone tell me the reason of the correct answer? In case number 2, in case number 2 and case number 7, the time of flight would be case number 2 and case number 5, time of flight would be same. Why is same? Case number 2, case number 5, time is same. Why is it same? Because there is no vertical velocity. Time of flight only depends on the vertical velocity. Time of flight only depends on vertical velocity. Did we discuss this? Did we discuss this when we discussed the time of flight for a projectile? Did we discuss this or not? Time of flight ka formula that it depends 2u sine theta by g. Time of flight, it depends on the vertical velocity. If the vertical velocity is same, time of flight would be same. Am I clear? Can we understand this? Can we understand this? Time of flight only depends on vertical velocity. If the vertical velocity is same, time of flight would be same. In case number 2 and case number 5, time of flight is going to be same. Clear or not? Okay. Then I can ask you this question. In which case, question number 2, in which case time of flight is minimum? In which case time of flight is minimum? It will fall to the ground in the shortest time. Which case? Case number 1, case number 2, case number 3, case number 4, case number 5. In which case the time of flight is going to be minimum? Common sense, apply some common sense. And you would be able to get and tell me the answer. In which case time of flight, time taken to come to ground is minimum 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the answer? Common sense will tell you the answer. In which case time is minimum. Abhiram, well done, beta. Time is minimum in case number one. So the answer is case number one. Abhiram, can you unmute yourself and tell me why is the answer case number one? Abhiram, over to you. Unmute yourself. Abhiram ka mic is giving issue. Okay. So in case number one, why it is going to take less time? I'm throwing it downwards. So it has some velocity in the downward direction. If it has some velocity in the downward direction, remember time of flight depends on velocity along y-axis. If there is zero velocity, it will take more time. But if there is some velocity, which is downwards, it will take less time. You drop a ball and you throw a ball downwards. When you throw the ball downwards, it has some initial velocity in the downward direction, and that is why it will reach the ground faster. Am I clear? Can I have some raise hand that we are clear, sir? Case number one is the answer for the time taken for the ball to be minimum because it has some velocity in the vertical direction downwards. Since I have discussed downwards, I will discuss, since I discussed minimum, I will also discuss maximum, which case T is maximum, in which case you will have the time taken to be maximum. Which ball, which case it will take maximum time to reach ground. Again, common sense will give you the answer. Waiting for the answer. Niharika has come up with an answer. Niharika says, case number four. Niharika, over to you. Unmute yourself. Tell me why is the answer case number four. Niharika, I think you can talk. Unmute and tell me why is the answer four. Again, I think there is problem with her mic. Why is the answer 4? In case number 4, I am throwing it vertically with the velocity u. So I am giving it maximum velocity in the positive y-axis. So it will go maximum height and then it will come down. Time of flight depends on vertical velocity. In case number 4, I am giving it maximum vertical velocity in the upward direction, and hence it will take maximum time to go up and maximum time to come down. Am I clear? Am I clear with the answer? Can I have raised hand that tell me, sir, we understand this. Raise of hands will give me more confidence. Abhiram has raised hand. What about the others? Niharika has given me the answer, so she probably knows it. Irfan, Akshay, waiting for you guys to come up. Vaishnavi, Srilata, Sairam, nice name, beta. Please reply. Irfan, where are you? DP is good, but no replies. Doesn't make sense. Okay. Now, the last question in this. Rank the time of flights in increasing order. कौन बनेगा करोड़पति? Rank fastest finger first. Rank time of flight in increasing order. Increasing order means the minimum time of flight will be first, then the higher one, then the higher one, then the higher one, and then the maximum one. Waiting for your answers for this one. Rank the time of flight. Rank the time of flight in increasing order. That will make me understand if you have understood the question or not. Abhiram has raised hand. Abhiram, is there a doubt? Rank, time of flight, in increasing order. The minimum time of flight would be first. You can call it T1. You can call the time of flight in first case as T1. You can call the time of flight in case number 2 as T2, 3 as T3, 4 as T4, and 5 as T5. You can call them like this, and then you can rank them. This is T1. This is T2. This one is T3. This one is T4. And this time of flight is T5 in yellow. So now I want you to rank them in the increasing order of time of flights. Anyone with an answer? The minimum time of flight is T1. Do we agree on this? Yes, sir, Abhiram says. What about the next one? T1, T2, but T2 and T5 are equal. We understand this. So T2 and T5 will come together. T1, T2, comma T5, both are same. What will be the next time of what? What will be the next time? T3 is the next time, and the maximum is T4, T5. Written T5, it must be T4, and that is the order that I was looking for. Do we get this? So is the question clear to everyone? This question is based on the simple concept that time of flight is directly proportional to the vertical velocity. The more the vertical velocity, more will be the time of flight. If the vertical velocity is same, time of flight would be same. Am I clear? Do we have any doubts on this? This is the time that we can clear our doubts. We are almost done. We are done with this chapter of motion in one dimension and motion in two dimension. Just to give you a quick recap of what we have done till now, so that all of us are on the same page. We have studied what do you mean by distance. What is the distance traveled by a particle? Let us go back and have a look. What do you mean by distance traveled by a particle? Can anyone tell me? It's a quick recap, quick revision in 10 minutes. We'll revise the entire topic that we have done till now, because now things are going to get a bit different from what we are doing up till now. Things will get a bit different. The next chapter after relative velocity, we'll not talk about velocities. We'll talk more about forces and acceleration. So velocity will take a break. Velocity and displacement will take a break. So this is the time that we go back and we discuss whatever we have done till now. So let us discuss everything that we have done till now in 15-20 minutes. At the end of this class, let us discuss everything that we have done till now. What is the first thing that we did? Beginning of the chapter, motion in 1D, distance. What do you mean by distance? Do we remember what is distance? Distance traveled by a particle. What is the distance traveled by a particle? Anyone? Anyone? What is the distance traveled by the particle? We denoted it by the letter L. Why did we denote it by the letter L? Because it is equal to the... It was equal to the length of path. Do we remember this? Do we remember this? Distance is the length of path. Raise hands. Raise hand will give me more confidence. And obviously it is a scalar quantity and it is always positive. There are the small things that you must remember. The next thing that we did was displacement. We denoted it. We denoted the displacement by delta R. What was displacement? What is the formula for displacement? Anyone give me the formula for displacement? What is the definition for displacement? Yes, Niharika, it is change in position vector. Delta standing for change. R standing for vector. So better to write it like this. Change in position vector. And definitely it is a vector quantity. We also saw that for motion in one dimension, we may not use the sign for vector. Instead of using the sign for vectors in motion in 1D or motion in 2D, instead of using sign for vectors, what we were using for sign, instead of sign, what we were using? We were using plus or minus. We were using plus or minus. If something is going like this, along positive x, it was positive. Moving along negative x, it was negative. Positive y, positive. Negative y, negative. Do we remember this? Can I have raised hand? That's we understand this. We remember this. Okay, then we did speed. Speed was the rate at which the body travels or covers distance dl by dt. dl by dt. This speed is also a scalar. Speed is a scalar. Then we did different types of speed. The first one was average speed. Do we remember average speed? Average speed was total distance delta L divided by total time. Do we remember average speed? Can I have some raise hand just so we remember average speed? Total distance divided by total time. Yes or no? Yes or no? To denote average speed, we use V in a dabba. That was average speed. Then we also did the other type of speed, instantaneous speed. We denoted it by V and we wrote it as dl by dt. When we say speed, we mean instantaneous speed. Do you remember this? Instantaneous speed. When we use the word speed, we basically mean instantaneous speed. We also saw instantaneous speed is the magnitude of instantaneous velocity. Do we remember this? Instantaneous speed is the magnitude of instantaneous velocity. Can I have some raised hands? Can I have some raised hand that we remember this, sir? Then we had uniform speed. Speed remains same with time. Then we had non-uniform speed. Speed that changes with time. Do we remember this? Raise hand will give me more confidence. Raise hand will give me more confidence. You don't remember this? Yes, we remember this. Grade 1, beta, grade 1. Then we talked about velocity. Velocity is the rate of change of position vector with time. And this is definitely a vector. Now, we have not used the vector sign. Instead of using vector sign, we have used positive or negative. Positive or negative refers to its direction. We also saw four types of velocity. Average velocity, V in a dabba. That was total displacement divided by total time. Do we remember this? Raise hands will give me more confidence. Then we did instantaneous velocity. Instantaneous velocity is the rate of change of position vector. When we say velocity, we basically mean instantaneous velocity. Do we remember this? Raise of hands will give me more confidence that I'm not talking to walls or the screen in front of me. I'm talking to people who are sitting on the other side of the screen who are understanding. Then we saw uniform velocity. Velocity remains same in magnitude, same in direction. Then we saw non-uniform velocity, velocity that changes. When we saw velocity that changes, it can change in magnitude or it can change in direction or it can change in both. Magnitude it can change in direction or it can change in both. What causes the velocity to change? What makes the velocity to change? What makes the velocity to change? What causes the velocity to change? It is something known as acceleration. Do we remember acceleration? Do we remember acceleration? Acceleration, rate of change of velocity with time. Again, a vector, dv by dt. Again, we use direction. If it is like this, positive, like this, negative, upwards, positive, downwards, negative. G is always negative. Again, we talked about different types of acceleration. The first one was average acceleration. Average acceleration was written like this: total change in velocity delta V divided by delta T, which was written as V2 final velocity minus V1 initial velocity divided by time. Do we remember this? Can I have some raised hands? We're doing a thorough revision of what we have done up till now. Then we had done something known as instantaneous acceleration, acceleration at any given instant. Acceleration at any given instant, we denoted it by a vector, and a vector became dv vector by dt vector by dt. Same as acceleration. I told you when someone talks about acceleration, he's talking about instantaneous acceleration. Then we talked about uniform acceleration, constant acceleration, uniform acceleration. Then we talked about non-uniform acceleration. Yes or no? Raise hands will give me more faith, more confidence that, sir, we are in the same universe, doing the same you are doing. Okay. Again, for acceleration, instead of using vectors, we have used sign. Then we went on to equations of motion. Do we remember these equations of motion? Do we remember these equations of motion? We've gone into equations of motion. And remember, we had made this equation for constant acceleration. For constant acceleration, what was the first equation that we made? The first equation that we made was V is equal to U plus AT. V is equal to U plus AT. That was the first equation that we used. Now, in motion in two dimension, we have made this equation along x-axis as well as y-axis. Yes or no? Please raise your hand and tell me, yes, sir, we have used this. For x-axis, we have said Vx is equal to Ux plus Ax into T. For y-axis, we have said Vx is equal to Vy is equal to Uy plus Ay into T. Raise hand will give me more confidence that we are on the same platform, same universe. Equation number 2. What was equation number 2? Tell me what was equation number 2. Equation number 2, anyone? What was equation number 2? And again, here we have used this equation with proper sign convention. Proper sign convention. This is positive. This backwards is negative. Upwards is positive. Downwards is negative. Proper sign convention. Yes. What was equation number 2? Anyone? Equation number 2 for motion. No one is telling me the equation. Have you forgotten the equation? We just used it. Delta R is equal to ut plus half at square. Again, we have used this equation with proper sign convention for x-axis and y-axis. When we use this for x-axis, we called it x is equal to uxt plus half axt squared. When we use it for y-axis, we call it y is equal to uy into t plus half ay squared. Equation number 3, v squared is equal to u squared plus 2 times a into delta r We have again used this equation both for x-axis and y-axis using x, vx, and ux. Equation number 4, v average is equal to v plus u by 2. We have not used this equation for a long time, but we must remember this equation. This equation is valid when the acceleration is uniform. Do we remember all these equations? All these box equation coming in this box. All these equations are valid. All these equations are valid for motion with constant acceleration. Do we remember this? Do we remember this? Apart from this, we had seen some equation that was valid always. For example, instantaneous acceleration is dv by dt. Derivative of acceleration, derivative of velocity is acceleration. Derivative of velocity is acceleration. Derivative of position vector is time. Do we remember this? Do we remember this? We had solved some problems on integration and differentiation as well. Based on this, what was the equation that we have done? Equation of motion. Equation of motion valid always. Always valid. Always valid. What was the first equation? Always valid. We had written average velocity is equal to total displacement divided by total time. You can write this equation like this. Total displacement is average velocity multiplied by total time. Do we remember these equations? Number 3, average acceleration is total change in velocity divided by total time. So this becomes v minus u divided by t. Equation number 4, velocity is dr by dt. Equation number 5, acceleration is dv by dt, or you can write it as d square r by dt square. Do you remember second derivative of time? Do we remember this second derivative of time, acceleration? 6, I can write acceleration like this also, v into dv by dr or v into dv by dx. Do we remember this form? Do we remember these 3 forms? Raise hand will give me more confidence that we remember this, sir. We remember this form, sir. Then we wrote them in a different way. We wrote dr, we took dt this side, dr is equal to v dt. We integrated this and we put a constant. Do we remember this form of writing this? The red form. Do we remember the red form? Yes. How did we write this? We take dv this side, dt this side. So dv becomes a into dt. We put integral, and we put a constant here. Do we remember this? Do we remember this? Second one, in the red column, in the red box, we took this here. So v into dv becomes a into dr. This dr can be dx, this dr can be dy plus c. Do we remember all this? These are the various equations of motion that are valid always. We have seen them. Always valid equations. After that, we moved on to motion in 2 dimensions. We moved on to motion in 2 dimensions and we moved into projectile motion. Do we remember projectile motion, oblique projectile? We had seen different formulae. The first was flight. Time of flight is 2u sine theta by g. Do we remember this? 2u sine theta by g as 2u. Remember this? Can I have some raise hand that we remember this? H max, maximum. It was u squared sine squared theta by 2g, or we wrote it as u. Give me more confidence that I'm talking to a screen that is in front of me. I'm talking to the by g maximum range 45 square by g u square by g. Complementary angles range is same. Do we remember this? For complementary angles range is same. Do you remember this? Like this, u square sine theta cos theta divided by g plus x multiplied by ux multiplied by t. This is how I've written range for horizontal projectile as well. Same formula, nothing has changed. Life is same. Do we remember this? That was one way of writing it. Number 5, next equation is equal to x tan minus xyr, where r happens to be the horizontal range. The last but not the least, we define horizontal projectile, which we ended the syllabus on. That is all about one class. There is nothing different that we are going to do there. Nothing different. Even now, we have made all these beautiful equations. Simple, beautiful, that is physics. Simple and beautiful. If it is complicated, it cannot be physics. Simple and beautiful equations that we've written all over the board and made the board relative motion. And you will feel this is something new. This is something new for us. We have not done this before, but let me tell you it with utmost sincerity that even now, in all these equations that we have written, right from the first equation of this to the last equation that we saw, to the last formula that we saw of range and time of flight, we are still doing relative motion. They're doing relative motion. It's not that we have not done relative motion, we are doing relative motion. The only thing is, we are doing relative motion with respect to ground. Am I audible and visible to everyone? I got disconnected. Am I audible and visible? I got disconnected from the other connection. Am I audible and visible to everyone? Can you raise hand and tell me that I am audible and visible? Okay. My that iPad gave me trouble that it went off. Okay. So even now we are doing relative motion. We are understanding, or we are studying the motion of this ball or this projectile or this car or bus. Everything we are still doing, but we are doing it with respect to ground. All these questions, all these equations, these beautiful equations, I'm back on the iPad, all these beautiful equations that I've made, that we have studied, all these equations are also relative equations. We are studying the motion of these bodies, these particles, these cars, buses, train, aeroplanes, projectiles with respect to ground. What will change in the next topic? What will change in the next topic? That we'll be doing relative motion, yes, but we are still doing relative motion. Right now, we are studying everything in terms of motion with respect to ground. Our reference frame is ground. I'm again getting disconnected. Maybe there's a problem with Zoom. iPad doesn't give me a problem. I'm getting disconnected. Everything we are doing with respect to ground. But from now onwards, from the next class onwards, I'm again back. From the next class onwards, we'll be doing the same thing, same motion, same equations, everything same, but we'll be doing it with respect to other bodies. So we would be studying the motion of a car, not with respect to ground, but with respect to another car. Imagine, you might have seen this as a child, even now, when you are in a train and the train is moving, and there is one more train which is coming from the opposite direction. You always feel that the train that is coming from the opposite direction is moving very fast, and your train is very slow. The train that is coming from the opposite direction is always very fast, and your train is very slow. You know what this other person would be feeling who is sitting on the other train, the faster train? When he sees your train coming from the opposite train, he'll also feel, oh, my train is very slow, that other train is very, very fast. Both will see actually the other train faster. Why do they see? This gentleman also feels that my train is slower and the other train is faster. This gentleman also feels that his train is slower but the other train is faster. Why? Because we are all looking at the motion of the other train, not from ground, but from the train itself. And that is what that makes this difference. And that is what we're going to study in the next class, relative motion. We are still studying relative motion, but we studied all these equations that we made, beautiful equations of range, time of flight, projectile, acceleration, all were with respect to ground. And now we'll be converting these equations from ground, and that is why I wrote this equation again. While you're making all these equations not from ground, but from the respect of other car or train or bus, and we'll see how fascinating things become now. So on that note, on that bright little note, I will end today's class. We are done with this. We'll start with relative motion in the next class. I hope that all of you have understood what I have discussed today. Quick recap, quick revision. I hope I will see you on the other side of today or other side of tomorrow in the next class. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy. Bye for now.